That's funny. Ziggity zig, back with the Friday Faff, and yes, I know it's Monday, but on Monday we normally have the Better Build Better, but because of all the things that I've screwed up myself over the holiday season, I've decided to have the Friday Faff, because I wanted to have this Friday Faff. This is a game sent to me by Wookie, and it's a game up against Parski, so it's a PvP down here in Derelict Wash. There's a bunch of stuff going on in the online, offline stuff down at the bottom. Why did that kind of go over there? I don't really like that, how the nameplate sort of... Do you see how that sort of goes over top of the logos? Oh well. They'll work that out in the next patch. But this is me sort of working out my new situation, getting the computer moved to where I want it to be. Wookie's pretty early. Well, he got the pylon down there first, and followed by Parski getting his pylon as well. So this is if I'm not mistaken, I think this is a bronze game. Yep, there we go. It's a bronze game that Wookie sent me, as he had a long time not being in the Heart of the Swarm play, and then moved up finally and grabbed a copy of it, and is now playing in Heart of the Swarm, so he's a little bit behind, but I think it probably affected him, and he could be doing a lot better, but it just does not quite have the time. So it's a lot like me, except even if I did play 24/7, I would still be not all that good. But so we're having the Friday Faff on Monday just for fun, mostly because I didn't have a Better Build Better ready, or I wasn't really prepared for that, and I want to look at another build, and I want to have a good one. I just don't want to faff one out. So instead of faffing out a Monday, we're gonna have the Friday Faff on the Monday. So it's the Monday Faff. I think I've repeated that about 9 times, but just so that we're safe and we're clear. And I was a bit late on just about everything else, so it's just kind of it's just been kind of a rough, well, not really a rough transition, just a questionable transition where me trying to get all my stuff together. And in fact, right now I am about 8 feet away from a 42-inch screen, which I am watching StarCraft 2 on, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, it just feels a little bit weird. Also, I didn't want to play for the first game, so this is actually the first recording in the new setup on the screen that I had planned for this to be on. And it's got to be a Wookiee game, because Wookie's one of the people that I've been friends with on YouTube ever pretty much since like the first week I was on YouTube. And oh, here we go. There is a pylon there, and it does not look like, I'm not sure if Wookie has seen that. No, he's just going to move his pylon by and not going to be able to catch that, but he does have... Did he have another pylon? No, not a pylon, but another probe. I don't think he has a scouting probe at the moment. Where's... Nope, Wookie went back home. But he's just working on the Cybernetics core, and I think I got rid of that. So the Cyber core is on its way for both players, but I do believe there might be some additional... Yeah, there's an additional gateway all the way right now for Parski. If you look at the income tab, we are a little bit ahead for Wookie, so... Wookie's doing just a little bit better, and I think the army supply is slightly also in Wookie's favor and on the other side of things. So this is probably just going to be... I'm thinking, in fact, I know this because this was what was in the commentary was I defend a 4-gate. So, you see that forward pylon, you're not really going to be looking at anything posh. Well, if you do see a Twilight Council, then it's going to be a cool Blinkstalker rush with 3 gates. And that would be awesome. That would probably work really well, especially on this map, being Derelict Watcher TE, and I can tell what it is because I can see it's right there. Woot! But... the other thing I was going to mention is, even though I've been screwing up my regular daily content, I have managed to get up the remainder of the EQ Cup games, where weeknights at around, I think 8 p.m. Eastern is when I release them one at a time. I'm just going to put them out one at a time just so you don't get bombarded with a bunch of different things. There's a second pylon down here. Holy crap, it's going to be a double-pronged attack, but what happens here is Wookie comes in and he sees gates. He even sees 4 of them. Yep, checks it all out, and bang. Only sees... Oh my god, that is Artosis to the hilt. So he only sees the one pylon, so that is when he decides, alright, now it is time to do something about this. So he sends out... Does he send out a probe? Oh, I thought he was going to send out a probe to go and do some scouting. No. So like I was saying, the EQ Cup does continue from the night that Griff and I were casting a few weeks ago, and with that particular cast, there are a number of games still yet to come, so it's going to be a defensive 4-gate? No, it's a forge 3-gate defense, which, yeah, that's pretty good, because then you can get the static defense, you get the cannons up on the high ground once you get a pylon over here, so that's the only thing that was really missing from this particular equation. And then a zealot is going to wander around here and have peeked and see what we can find, and oh, okay. So this probe is now looking around, so Wookie does know exactly what he's looking for, he just hasn't been able to find it just yet. So the twitchy thing is there. It was a Twilight Council, so it is going to be a bit of a Blinkstalker 4-gate. That's... Oh. So not quite a 4-gate, but it could have been a 4-gate, a bit of pressure, and chances are, I think Wookie probably would have been able to withstand the early 4-gate pressure just there. Wookie's also deciding to get +1, because, hey, why not? I would actually kind of suggest, yeah, some cannons on a few different places, but it looks here as though Parski has been found out, and this one, the the rope-a-dope pylon has been found out. Wookie's got all his units over here, and he says, "Aha! There, that's taken care of. No more pesky shenanigans. No more silliness from this guy. We're just gonna play a straight-up game. There's the forge. There's the, I don't even know, pylon wall, cause whatever. But at this point, Wookie's gonna make the transition, move over to the second base." Still doing alright at worker supply, definitely has the army supply at the moment, but it's the tech that he may fall behind on, because at the moment I think Wookie only has the one cannon in, yep, up there in the minerals, so I probably could use yet another cannon or two just over here, but the Dark Shrine is done, and so what does Parski do? Parski warps in, oh, he does warp in some Dark Templar. Oh, I was looking at Wookie's thing. Ugh, I thought Wookie was just warping in some Blink Stalkers. So you're not working on... Oh, no, you're not working on Blink because you only wanted the Templar, or the Twilight Council, to go to Dark Templar. So here we are. Now we don't... Oh, now is your time! You have no chance to survive. Make your time. And so Wookie still with... no idea of what he's facing just yet. He is making that robotics facility just to get an observer out. It's going to be waiting for the six Dark Templar. But if he doesn't move them in fast, Wookie could do to have maybe a cannon down here, but of course he doesn't know that he needs detection right now. 7 Dark Templar on their way, and we'll see what kind of damage this does. Right now we have 0 workers killed and 0 units killed, so these Dark Templar are just going to wander right in here. They're going to sneak all the way around, kill a number of units, and so Wookie decides, alright, it is time to fill up this ramp so that they cannot get through. And so these 7 Dark Templar are not going to get in. They're not going to take down the workers, but the problem there is, there we go, and it was a little bit late on the observer, but here come a few more units, and they're all going to come in. They're all going to get slaughtered, so there's not going to be a thing left to be attacked, but here they go, and they're on their way in. They're going to take down a couple of pylons, but this cannon is going to avert them just like this. So the cannon was probably a pretty sweet maneuver, but now they're going to try to watch out for this. Well, they thought this pylon was Artosis, but it is not, and now the observer is right here, and these Dark Templar, they did do a fair amount of damage. They killed 13 units, not a single worker just yet. And he's going to lose his robotics facility, which is a bummer, but already has the observer out, so now just needs a few more units, and there's the problem right there. So these cannons just a little bit too late, but now, it's a lot of workers now being killed, so even with the... I think the Photon Overcharge might have been a good time for that, but does not quite have the energy at the moment because he used the Time Warp right now, but here comes 3 Archons! Realizing that he's been detected, now decides to waste even more time by building a bunch of bloody Archons. Well, there you go, because this army supply is very similar. Parski is slightly ahead for worker supply, but the problem there is that Wookie is now moving into 2 bases. So these 2 Archons are going to die pretty quickly. You get 12 kills in that one. So it did do a remarkable amount of damage, but if you have a look at the income tab, he's really not that far ahead. Wookie's going to come out of this because he's got a pretty decent amount of... Well, he's on 2 bases right now, so he just needs to split up, and power down on some workers, and he'll come back into this in no hurry whatsoever. I mean, look at that. He's only a few workers behind. He's got all of his units all around. He's 4 more Dark Templar, but the problem is for Parski is that Wookie's got detection now. These Dark Templar are not really going to be able to do much. In fact, they did probably more of the... Well, they did most of their damage before they were detected. Here's Wookie down here with a little bit of a forward pylon, but they eventually went on to have nothing done, and so when they turned into Archons, they actually became slightly more viable at that point, because so warping them in and not making them into Archons. I don't know what's going on. Parski's now working on +2, getting a robotics facility, getting 4 more gates, all still on 1 base. This is just a mess of a base right now. Here's a robotics facility. Here's now 8 gate, but on the income that he's got, I mean, yeah, he can do things with it because he's got a lot of money, but in a couple seconds he's not going to have any money because he's not making any. Wookie's keeping all the income down pretty low. He's got the observer out front. Probably want one over here to the side because honestly, this is kind of silly that Wookie still does not have anything over to this side, but now you look at the army supply and it's still remaining pretty even. Wookie being on 2 bases, which is a lot more sustainable than whatever Parski's doing, because Parski's still trying to make a fair number of gas-heavy units. That's a warp prism? Oh god, it's going to be a warp prism drop with Dark Templar. That's just crazy sauce. So Wookie's got, if you look at the gas income, well, actually it's not too bad, only because Wookie forgot about this gas down here, and I don't think he's got anything in his 2 gases down here at the bottom. But the units and the army supply, Parski's still somehow ahead, so Wookie needs to just get in charge of this. Wookie now working on the ground armor. You got +2 charges on the way for Parski. So it's going to be an attempt at maybe a charge lot Archon, but with a whole bunch of other stuff still at the same time. Wookie has the advantage of having his mothership core with him, because I think Parski still got his mothership core. Yep, there we go. Still sitting back here. Parski does not have any vision of what's going on. So without having anything out there, he did make a warp prism, but he did not make anything beyond that. And here's another quick warp-in round for Wookie, who sees that his money is getting very high. And now you start to notice what's going on is Wookie's income is now getting away with itself. So Wookie can get a lot more army than Parski has. So if this does not go well for Parski, and I'm not entirely sure that it will, because these units go in there, so that's a lot of charge lots, but at the same time, the Mothership Core is going to time warp most of this right down here. This is where I'd expect things to happen. I do see some force fields going down. This Mothership Core is really not doing quite the damage. These units do come in here, and they do kill an awful lot of workers, but I think the problem still is that, actually, it's still remaining pretty even, but there's the Photon Overcharge. Wookie getting in a few more recruits. Did manage to take out the Dark Templar, because those do drop pretty quick. They are the glass cannon. This Mothership Core is still just trucking, nothing shooting upwards, everything going down for Parski, and there's, oh wait, there is very little, actually no, it did manage to continue through there, but I'm not sure where did the Observer go? I think, where did Wookie's Observer go? I'm not entirely sure. I think it might have gotten shot down because he might have had an Observer himself, but now it's the 2 armies on each other, but here comes, oh, the good old Void Ray is going to come in now. So the Stargate at the back was a very decent investment. Now the problem here with Parski is that, yes, he was able to snipe 1 base, but that's really not going to do all that much because he hasn't made a base himself. So Wookie does have to retreat a little bit here, does lose a number of 3? Really? That's all you could get at that point? Because if you look down here, there's absolutely nothing left. You can only harvest 22 more minerals. Parski has really screwed the pooch on this one. He has destroyed Wookie's 2nd base, but Wookie still has a 1st base that he's working on, so is still making enough. Does have some units. Does need to get another. Oh no, it already got sniped. Where's the robotics bay? I thought it. No, I guess it got sniped during that 1st attack. That's right. That's precisely what happened. But now there is. There's an observer and a probe in here somewhere. So I think, aha, there's the observer. But with these units now, we have just a small factor of attack down here, and oh yes, Parski is really just sticking in the blade. He thinks that he's won this. He thinks that he's doing really, really well. This 1 charge lot and 2 stalkers has nothing left to warp in. Wookie's got all the money. He's got everything. He's got a Void Ray and 3 stalkers now to come in, and that's going to take care of these units. So there's going to be nothing left. That's it. He has fought off, and Parski says, well, you know what? I've got nothing left. What kind of build was this? If this wasn't an all-in, I finally know what an all-in means. An all-in means, you know what? This is all I've got, and I don't feel like leaving my base. Oh, I was disconnected from Battle.net, my rank information. Well, we can't take a look at that. But that was a game from Wookie where it was basically 100% defense. Once you defend, you win, even if you don't have to counterattack. Leave me a comment down below. Send me an email, ziggityzig@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter @ziggityzig. I stay tuned.